Well, greetings everyone, and welcome to another Friday evening of And the Winners Are, presented by the SPORTSKRIB Network. We're going to discuss a few things today that actually are going to be a little outside of the realm of fantasy football. I'm going to give Mike a chance to uh, give his comments on the passing of uh, legendary baseball player, Mr. Maury Wills. Get his a take on that, as well as his take on what's going to be going on in college football concerning Michigan and some other important matchups down the line here. Um, as we saw last night, my Steelers got beat by the Clowns rather convincingly. And a lot of people were asking Mike Tomlin what was his plans on going forward. Would he start Kenny Pickett? And of course, Mike said a definite no. So we're going to talk a little bit about that also. But I see Mike is here, and let's get the show on the road. How you doing tonight, Mike?
I'm doing great, sir. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm doing fine, man. It's Friday, and TGIF. So
Hell yeah.
we're out here in California, 3 hours behind everybody else.
Oh, it's nice.
So it looks like it's setting up to be a very good weekend.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, it's going to be a busy weekend for me, but it should be a nice one as well.
Well, I'm going to dive off into a couple things that kind of aren't off on the fantasy football path, but I thought you might want to comment on them. And the first one was the passing of the legendary baseball player, Mr. Maury Wills.
Yes.
And it's interesting. I read his stats. Excuse me, his stats off yesterday while we were on the SPORTSKRIB, and I'm just going to pull them back up here for 1 second, because I thought it was almost a disservice. Here's a man now. He has 3 World Series championships. He was a 1962 MVP of the league. He hit a lifetime 281 batting average, 2,134 hits, 586 stolen bases on 1,942 plate appearances. Wow. But this man is not in the Hall of Fame. What's your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I always judge Hall of Famers is someone who, if I know about them and they played before sort of my time, they should be on the Hall of Fame, because it's like one of those situations where if I know about them, there's got to be a reason for it. I mean, I'm not a great historian about baseball. I am with football, but I know Maury Wills. I know the stories that my dad told me about Maury Wills, and the fact that just understanding how great he was, being a Giants fan and respecting the Dodger takes a lot out of me because of that such a great rivalry. So I mean, numbers are hard because you have Perry Bonds who's not in the Hall of Fame. There's reasons for it, but you can never. There's people like Brooks Robinson who don't have great numbers that are in the Hall of Fame, but he was in the Hall of Fame because of his defense. So without really truly seeing how he played, I mean, I know he was lightning fast. Like, in fact, one of the stories is that the Giants watered down the field because they didn't want Maury Wills to steal bases, and those kind of things. So he was definitely great. If my dad's talking about a Dodger, then he must be great. And if he's great, then I don't know why he's not in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Well, as Bill was saying, he kind of came along at the wrong time. You had Lou Brock and a lot of those guys that came along, right during the same time period. I think Lou Brock came along like 3 or 4 years right after him, but they might have had a higher batting average. But acknowledging that he's the first man to steal 100 bases and so forth. But I was just wondering what you thought about that, because we all know that baseball Hall of Fame is one of the hardest to get into. And now that he's passed, maybe he can get in on yeah. Another question, we talked on the sports crib. I'm not sure if you were part of that conversation, but we were talking about a few months ago when the Yankees offered Aaron Judge $220 million. Well, it seems now that there's another guy in New York, across the way there, that also has quite full pockets, and he's talking about possibly offering Aaron Judge a $350 million contract.
Whoa.
Do you think the Yankees blew it when they lowballed him earlier this season?
Yeah, there's nothing worse than paying a guy that can turn it right back on you. And if that's the case, that would definitely be a good reason to look at if Aaron Judge does move over to New York, and you wonder, okay, well, is it because of this? And it very well could be because of that. And I'm not someone that gets into the finances too much, because I think it's ridiculous that anybody's making $325 million or whatever it is. But it's I understand what you're saying, and I could see definitely if they're lowballing him, then and he moves on, sure, yeah.
I was asking also Thursday. Right now, last night he didn't hit a home run last night, even though the Yankees won 5-4 in Tenn. What number do you think he will be at this time next week? And the over or under is 63.
Oof. So 63 would break Roger Maris's record. What is he at now?
60.
60. So 3 or 4. I could see him hitting 3. That would make sense. I would say 63 would be the number.
Okay. All right. I was just wondering there. Let's talk a little college football here. I decided that since Demetrius isn't here, that from now on Fridays I'm going to have to wear my Ohio State. This is in honor of Demetrius. But Georgia is pretty much a consensus number 1.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are saying Oklahoma should be number 2. What's your thoughts on that?
I'm saying that's probably taking a lot away from Alabama.
And Ohio State.
Yeah, exactly. Because Ohio State is 3. So, no. And then you're skipping over Michigan too. I think what is Oklahoma at this point? Are they like 7?
They're either 4, depending on which poll. They're either 5 or 6.
Oh, 5 or 6. Okay, so yeah, I don't think they should jump over those certain teams. I mean, you can make a case against Michigan just because Michigan hasn't played the greatest teams. I mean, they're beating up on really, really bad teams, and I forget who they have this week, but it's not a competition. It's not going to be something that Michigan shouldn't, walk away from with ease. This should be another game where they put up, 45, 50 points and allow 7. That kind of game. So, yeah, I think it would be a disrespect to any of those teams that are ahead of them.
Okay. Ole Miss, Arkansas, Tennessee, or Kentucky. Which is the SEC's third best team?
Wow. Wow. That's a tough question. Current. All right.
Hey, man, you're on the SportsKRIB. We don't do easy here.
I'm going to go. Ole Miss is the third best team.
Okay. Any particular reason why you like Ole Miss over Arkansas and Tennessee and Kentucky?
Not really particular reason. I mean, I think all 4 of these teams bring something to the table. Whether it's a quarterback like Tennessee and Kentucky. I'm not sure who Arkansas has at quarterback. I'd have to look at that, but I know they're aren't they like 14th right now in the nation?
Arkansas right now, I believe in most coaches' polls is number 10.
Number 10. Okay, so they moved up. I haven't looked at this week's rankings. And they're undefeated, I believe.
Yes.
So I think it's just almost one of those situations where you just pick a team because every one of these teams have a reason that you could say, okay, well, look at this and look at that. And I just pick Ole Miss because I don't like Eli Manning, and that's where he went. It's just one of those things where I think those other 3 schools are better than Ole Miss. I don't know if Ole Miss was even ranked in the beginning of the year. They might not even been ranked in the beginning of the year. I don't know what they're ranked now, but I know they're ranked.
I didn't look up their ranking. I just know that. I know. I remember Arkansas was number 10 because there was an article on it, whether or not it was too high for them. The Pac-12 commissioner says he doesn't see any more teams leaving the Pac-12. What do you think?
I think money talks. And if money says, you're invited to the Big Ten and that's where they want to go, or the Big 12 or SEC or wherever, then that's where they're going to go. So they'll probably do the best that they can to incentivize and, bring as much to the table. But if one conference outduels the other conference, and I don't see how you're going to make them stay.
Okay, now these bold predictions came from ESPN. Of course, some of them I do agree with. So, and you'll see why. These are my way too early bold predictions.
Okay.
All right. Let's start at the bottom. Okay. The Rose Bowl. Michigan against Utah or Oregon.
Ooh. I think Utah is already lost this year. I don't know if they've lost 2 games. I think they've only lost 1. But if I was to probably choose, I'd probably choose Oregon as the team Michigan plays in the Rose Bowl.
Okay, and I guess I don't have to ask you who you
No, Michigan all the way. Michigan should stomp Oregon. Oregon's lost 2. Oh, actually, yeah, I was right. Utah's 2-1, and they're a 13th ranked, and Oregon is 2-1, and they're 15th ranked.
Yeah, that's why right now you don't know quite which one.
Yeah.
The Cotton Bowl, Oklahoma State versus either Appalachian State or Cincinnati.
I want to say Appalachian State. I mean, I think they're just amazing. I want to thank them for erasing the bad memories lost to them by Michigan when they defeated Michigan. Because now with the victory, who did they beat? I can't remember 2 weeks ago, but
Was it Notre? Were they the ones that beat Notre Dame? No, it wasn't. Who beat?
I think it was it Notre Dame. I think it might have
Was it
been.
Notre Dame that they beat?
I want to say yes, but I'm not
Okay.
100% sure on that. Let's see. Appalachian State Mountaineers football. Where? Let's see. They beat Texas A&M. That was who they beat, and then they barely lost to UNC.
Right. Oh, yeah, it was Texas A&M. That's right. Because Texas A&M is 0-2, right?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, they were part of that Sun Belt weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, they took home $4.5 million. Not bad
Good
for
for
a
them.
loser. So yeah. So
I want to see Appalachian State. I don't know what it is, but I love that school. Even though they beat Michigan, I think schools like that come out of nowhere and start making a name for themselves. That's one of the reasons why I like, just to change sports a little bit, college basketball. That's why I like Gonzaga, because there were nobodies, and then all of a sudden they became somebody. So I always root for those underdogs.
well, Gonzaga hasn't been a nobody in a
Yeah,
long
time.
time.
It's been a long time.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's been a long time. So Oklahoma State versus Appalachian State. Then who you got for the Cotton Bowl?
Ooh. I'm going to go with Oklahoma State. They're ninth in the nation right now, but I'll definitely be rooting for Appalachian State.
The Sugar Bowl, Oklahoma against either Kansas or Tennessee.
Kansas and Tennessee. Tennessee is 11th right now, and Kansas is
Kentucky.
Oh, Kentucky. Kentucky is 8th, so that's going to be a tough situation. I'm going to go with.
And I think is Oklahoma number 6 in that where you're looking?
Yes, sir. They're number 6.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Kentucky because of Will Levis, and so yeah, I'll go with Kentucky for that reason. I think you said Sugar Bowl, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, Kentucky and Oklahoma.
Yeah. And you got Kentucky?
Yeah, why not? Why not?
Okay. The Orange Bowl, Clemson versus Penn State.
Ooh, Clemson. Well, Clemson should win that because Clemson, I believe, is 5th in the nation or 6th. And yeah, it's 5th. They're 3-0, and then Penn State is 14th. So I would take Clemson.
Okay. Now we're going to the semis.
Ooh.
Fiesta Bowl, Alabama versus Ohio State. I don't have to tell you who I have.
Yeah, you don't have to tell me who you have. You know what? I'm tired of watching Alabama win, so I'm going to go Ohio State, even though that's another arch rival in the Big Ten. But I'd like to see Ohio State upset Alabama.
Okay. The Chick-Fil-A Bowl, the other semifinal, Georgia versus USC. Now, you might think it might be somebody else other than USC. If you think it's somebody else other than USC, who would it be?
That's a good question. So USC is 7th. It could very well be any of the teams that we've talked about: Michigan, Clemson, Ohio State, which I know you wouldn't want to see in. Well, it wouldn't matter semifinal.
Yeah.
So yeah, any of those teams could. I think we'll see what happens with Michigan when they play Ohio State and see how that transfers. But because that's going to be the test. That'll be the team that whoever wins that will probably go to the playoffs. So since I'm a Michigan fan, I'm going to go with Michigan. in that situation there.
Okay, and so who you got, Georgia or Michigan?
Ooh, let's go with a rematch. Let's go with the rematch. Georgia and Michigan. We're gonna go to the rematch to the team that just got obliterated last year. Michigan just got obliterated. That defense did not show up whatsoever, and they'll take it back. They'll run it back and become the victors. Hell to the victors.
Okay. Now my championship game is Georgia versus Ohio State.
I like that, but I don't like it enough to say Michigan loses. So I'm gonna go Georgia.
Well, then would you be all right with the Big Ten final, Michigan against Ohio State?
Oh, that would bring in so much money. That'd be awesome. That would be awesome. I would love to see that. Let's do that. Best man wins.
There you go. There you go. But yeah, I mean, there's some other bowl games, but I thought those would be kind of fun to just fool around with for a minute.
Yeah, we'll see how true it is, how our predictions come true.
All right, let's talk a little NFL before we get off into fantasy here. Bucks wide receiver got suspended one game.
Yeah.
Do you think TB12 gave Mike Evans the Jada Pinkett eye to sick on Lattimore?
You better get him. He might have.
I know my sense of humor is
no, it's awesome. I wouldn't doubt it. I really wouldn't. Knowing Tom Brady and how diva he is, I would not doubt that he said, "Hey, Mike, you better do something about this." And Mike Evans did it, and then he's like, "What? What am I supposed to do?"
It's not like there wasn't history between Evans and Lattimore anyway.
Right, exactly.
Every time they're on the field together, something happens.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah. So I mean, it was all it took was a wink and a nod, right?
Mm-hmm. You better do something about that. And yeah, Mike Evans, okay, I'm okay with that. And then he tried to play it off like, oh no, it's Tom Brady. What am I supposed to do? NFL's like, nah, sorry. We've heard that excuse before.
Well, it was the fact that he came off the bench because Lattimore was on the field, but he came from off the bench area. If he hadn't come from off the bench area, it might have been a different outcome. If he had been on the field at that particular time.
Okay.
Yeah, see,
I did not know that. I thought Mike Evans was on the field. And
no, he wasn't on the field. At first it was Leonard Fournette that stepped in between them.
Mm-hmm.
And and then that's why I said, it was like, Tom kind of looked over at the sideline, and all of a sudden here's, Mike like exploding off the bench, like he's going into a quick slant. He's
running patterns out there to beat up Lattimore.
But like I said, it's not like there wasn't bad blood in between,
Sure.
Anyway.
I'm sure that gave him an excuse to go and do that. Whenever you have sort of a fight, you're looking for situations like this to always chomp at the bit.
But now Mike is out of the game for this game Sunday against Green Bay. Advantage Green Bay.
I think so.
I mean, there's no Godwin, right?
Nope.
Julio is out.
Julio's out.
So you got Russell Gage and Bray.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, Perryman is there. But I mean, we're not talking about the greatest, wide receivers out there. Like you mentioned, Gage. Scotty Miller, Jalen Darden, these names are not going to shake the boots of defensive coordinators. So, yeah, I agree. I agree that Tampa Bay should lose this game to Green Bay. Green Bay there's no reason why Green Bay should lose this game.
The Jets score 14 points in a minute and 22 seconds to beat the Clowns 31-30 last week. Was this bad coaching, or I mean, as a player, should Kareem Hunt should Hunt, because it was Hunt that scored the last touchdown, I believe, that left a minute and 22 seconds on, and they could have easily knelt down and ran the clock down.
Yeah.
So was this bad coaching, or just I guess if you're a Jet fan, you're really excited, but is this the one that the Clowns let get away?
It's very possible,
especially after beating us last night 23-17.
Yeah, I saw that game. Yeah, they as you mentioned it. I mean, if Hunt, I didn't see what transpired, but if Hunt should have took a knee like they do and run out the clock, then I have a hard time blaming the coach, unless there was errors, throughout that led to such a tight game in the first place.
Okay, so Hunt scores a touchdown. The Jets get the ball. They go down, score a touchdown, and then recover the onside kick and go down, score a touchdown, and the extra point wins. There was an extra point that was missed. That's why it was 31-30.
Oh, okay. Wow. So they didn't even uncover. They didn't even get the onside kick. Wow. Player personnel. And then the coach's calls. I would look at the special teams coach and see what he made as far as alignment goes, and why they didn't recover that special, the ball on an onside kick. But it's always on the head coach, regardless. As you probably understand from the military, it's always the one that is the head, the head of the guy, regardless. Regardless of what happens, it's
the guy with the most stripes.
It's the guy with the most stripes, 100%.
Tua. We had all been talking about Tua. I'm one of his biggest detractors myself. Can you get the ball down there to Tyreek? What's going on? But I guess I forgot about Jalen Waddle. But anyway, Tua had 6 TD passes. 6.
Yeah, that was insane.
Okay, if you had fantasy as Tua is your fantasy quarterback, God bless you. But
Tua and Tyreek, you probably don't have to have any more than that to win your matchup.
Well, it was actually Tua and Jalen Waddle. Wasn't it last week? I think it was Waddle.
It was Tyreek the week before.
Yeah, but last week I think it was Waddle last week. But anyway, do you think that his performance has made Miami a contender?
Yeah, I'm pretty impressed. I think the Tyreek Hill addition has made a huge difference in this offense. Right now they're 2-0, and they're just really a different team. They have a very solid defense. They already had that to start with, and then they bring in Tyreek Hill, and this offense looks just fast. I mean, Chase Edmonds, they got really a lot of speedsters on this team. And
they talk about speed. They probably have the fastest 3 wide receiving group in the NFL right now. Since you're taking what's his name from Green Bay. But as far as the 3 across the board, you got Tyreek, Jalen Waddle, and what's the third guy? All these guys are running less than 4 or 5, right?
Yeah. They're all track burners. Even at running back and
Chase Edmonds.
Yep. And so just to keep them in check is going to be really difficult, because they're just, like you said, just really fast and really athletic, and how are you going to keep zone high safeties and stuff like that when they all are going to go over the top? You can't, and then you can't play 10 yards back. You can't 15 yards back if you're a free safety. So you got to bring people forward, or they're going to run the ball down on your throat. So
Yeah, if
really
you
tough.
bring them down, that you're playing to a strength.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, it's kind of, like I said, it's way too early, but they did look good. We'll see what happens this week because they're playing. I believe they're playing the Bills.
I think you are correct. Yes, they are playing the Bills. Correct.
Yeah, so we'll see how they perform against the top defense, I believe, in the National Football League. But we'll see.
There's a
Uh,
lot of people hurt for the Bills defense though, so maybe they'll even the playing field. But this will, like you mentioned, this will be a great test to see how good the Dolphins' offense really is when you're facing a defense like the Bills.
yeah. Jalen set a NFL record by putting a hurt on the Vikings. The Vikings quarterback, Kirk Cousins, threw 2 interceptions. Uh, Wide receiver Jefferson, much to my chagrin, was only 6 for 48 yards.
Mm.
Are the Eagles the best of the least?
They may be. Talking about a quarterback that is tough to stop, and that's Jalen Hurts. So at this point, I think they are the best team. Dak Prescott's hurt. I don't know. Redskins. I don't know why I just said the Redskins. The Commanders. I'm going to do that all year long. The Commanders are.
Don't feel bad. I still forget that the Cleveland are the Guardians. So
Right. Yeah, it's the same thing. It's just like, oh, gotta remember all these team name changes. You get so used to calling them a team that you forget that they're not that team anymore.
well, I've only been calling them the Indians for 50 damn
Yeah,
years.
exactly.
I mean, so,
Yeah, how do you adjust? You just I don't know, but I call the
we
Raiders
won't get
also.
it. We won't get into to politically correct for a 75-year-old guy, but that's
No. I mean, it's for 50. Once you turn 40, I think, or 35, you're pretty much set in what you are. But anyway, so I think that the Washington the what are they?
we're talking about
Commanders.
we're talking about the Eagles, though.
Yeah. I think as far as the Eagles go, I think competition might be with the Commanders, maybe. But for the most part, yeah, I don't see the Eagles not winning their division.
Trey is out till next year.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Is this the best scenario for the 49ers? I mean, they got Jimmy for $6 million and a no trade clause. The only thing you got to worry about now is whether or not Jimmy's going to stay upright because you've lost your number. If he goes down, that's 1 and 2. Where do you go then? But in the meantime, what do you think? We all kind of talked about was Trey gonna be salty because Jimmy's still there, and was this the best landing place for Jimmy? But hey, they got a guy that took them to the playoffs and to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, and a NFC Championship game. So I think that I think it is. Honestly, I think that they gave Trey Lance the chance to start. It was going to be his role anyways, but I think that I wouldn't say that Lance could bring this team to an NFC Championship or Super Bowl, but I know, as you mentioned, Jimmy Garoppolo can. So yes, I agree that as a team, at the present moment, yes, this is the best situation. As far as future goes, no, it is not.
Yeah. I think we can safely say that. But like I said, Jimmy G's contract is only for a year, so
Right.
He can, if we can keep him healthy. Do you think they the 49ers are a playoff contender?
Yes, I do. The division doesn't seem too strong. Seattle doesn't seem like a very good team. Arizona is 1-1 or 0-2. Their defense looks horrendous.
Who's
So
that? Arizona's 1-1.
1-1.
Yeah, they had to come. That they also had to come back, if you remember.
That is correct. Yes, against the Raiders. And so it's I think 49ers win this division. I do.
Speaking of the Raiders, Raiders quarterback Derek Carr says they're still adapting to McDaniel's system. Are you surprised that the Raiders are 0-2?
I am surprised. I would figure they would be 1-1 at the very least, whether that was in week 1 against the Chargers or week 2 against Arizona. But I figured they would at least split those games, and they didn't. So, and they very well should have, as you mentioned, a big comeback by Arizona. So I am surprised. Yes.
Which coaches do you feel could get their seat getting a little warm right now?
Oh, Frank Reich. I'm so frustrated with Frank Reich right now. Oh my goodness. Oh, every week I'm hashtagging fire Frank Reich, because how do you lose to the Jaguars after getting knocked out in the playoffs by this team? And then you come in week 2 and you play like, I don't know if it's crib after dark, but crap, it was so bad. Oh God. And then you texted me and I'm just like, I'm like, oh my God, this team sucks so bad. So yeah, fire Frank Reich is my hashtag right now.
Anybody else?
Matt Rule could be another one that's probably on the hot seat, I would say. I mean, the Las Vegas odds had the Steelers coach, but I don't think so. I mean, what is he working with, right? I mean, the guy's never gone under 500 in his coaching career.
They're not going to fire Mike after one losing season,
and they shouldn't. There's no way that they should. It shouldn't even be a Vegas odd.
Yeah, I mean, and if you fire Mike, who do you hire?
Right. So I mean, I don't know why it was a Vegas odd last year. I believe as well. And it's just like, what has this guy done wrong to be fired? What? Give me something. Give me a reason why Mike Tomlin should be fired, and then I'll look into it. But as far as what I've seen, there's not a single reason for him to be fired. So why is he always consistently on a Vegas odds of like one of the top 3 or 4 coaches to be fired? And it doesn't make any sense to me, but Vegas knows more than I do, I guess. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense.
Evidently not, because he still hasn't been fired, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'll take that money every single time.
Yeah, well, let's get into some predictions here. The Texans plus 2.5 at the Bears.
So Bears with the victory over 2.5. I say that's true. I can see Bears winning by 3.
Okay. The Raiders minus 2.5 at the Titans.
Yeah, the Raiders lost to the Arizona Cardinals last week, and a similar team. Now they play the Titans. If they don't win against the Titans, then there's something seriously wrong. So 2.5, I'm going to say by 5. The Raiders win this by 5 points.
Okay. The Chiefs minus 6.5 versus the Colts.
If the Chiefs don't wallop the Colts, especially the way the Colts have been playing the last 2 weeks against Houston and Jacksonville, then I'm going to say something seriously wrong. So I think the Chiefs win by 10.
Pittman back this week, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The Bills minus 5.5 at the Dolphins.
Bills minus. Yeah, I 5.5 against that defense. Yeah, I could see Bills. That's about as I want to go ratchet up another 1.5, but I don't want. Yeah, I'd go with that 5.5. Sounds good.
Okay. The Lions, where's that? Plus 6.5 at the Vikings.
See, I think the Lions win this game, so the 6.5 underdogs isn't going to matter to me.
Okay. The Ratbirds minus 3.5 at the Patriots.
I see the Ratbirds winning by a field goal. Unfortunately, so I would take down the minus half and then say 3. So I'd go the under on this.
I would say that, except that the Ratbirds lost to the Jets last
Yeah, yeah, it's true. That's a good point.
So I think there's going to be a little revenge on the mind here. So and there's nobody that from the Pats that really scares me downfield. So
N-
you know,
No, not from New England. No, there's players like Nelson Aguilar, Tyquan Thornton that can get deep downfield, but Mac Jones isn't going to be hitting them by any
yeah,
means.
but now which wide receiving core would you rather have? The Jets wide receiving core, even though they're pretty young, or the Patriots wide receiving core?
Oh, I take the Jets wide receiver core.
Yeah, so that's why I'm taking the Ratbirds to
Yeah.
cover. You know, the Bungles minus 4.5 at the Jets.
I would hope so, but the way their offense has been playing, it hasn't been the greatest. And I don't know about Joe Burrow and his mental state right now. They're speculating that I was listening to the Locked On Cincinnati Bengals podcast, and they were speculating that from last year in the playoffs and being sacked so many times to now going into this year where you're thinking you're going to get better protection because they brought over better offensive linemen and you're not, and you're still getting slammed to the ground, might be messing with his head a little bit. And I can understand that. So I think the 4.5 is fair.
You think the Bungles are going to cover, or the Jets are going to cover?
I think the Bungles will win. But I don't know about 4.5. I'm going to go 3.
Okay. The the Eagles minus 6.5
Wow.
at the Commanders.
Ooh. Well, the way that offense has been playing lately, I don't doubt it. I think they have a great offense. So 6.5, and I think the Eagles will win. I'm going to bump it up to 8.
Yeah, and a lot of people. I mean, yeah, maybe I don't know what leagues that you're in, but a lot of people have been picking up that Eagles defense in
Yes.
fantasy also.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. Very, very good point. Yeah, that Eagles defense is pretty tough.
Yeah. The Saints minus 2.5 at Baker Mayfield's Panthers.
I think a lot depends on Jameis Winston and his back and how well he's feeling. So I wouldn't expect a blowout against the Panthers, even though the Panthers are a lesser team. But 2.5, that I think I'd go the over, maybe 4 points for the Saints.
I asked you about Pittman. Is Kamara healthy? I still haven't listed as questionable on most of my reports.
Yeah, I think he's going to play, but it's not a for certainty yet. But it looks like he's going to play.
Okay. The Jags plus 7.5 at the Chargers.
I'm going to go the under on this. Justin Herbert isn't feeling all that great, and it's going to affect this team. They won't be able to throw deep downfield like he likes to, and they're going to have to use a lot of short to intermediate routes. So it's going to be difficult. And the Jacksonville Jaguars defense isn't a joke. They play some strong defense. So 7.5 points, even though I think the Chargers are going to win, is a little high for me. I'm going to go 5.
Yeah, I was surprised to find out that the Jags defense was one of the top 5
Yes.
paid in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, the Steelers are number 1, and without
Uh-oh.
JJ,
Yeah,
without
without TJ Watt.
yeah,
Yeah.
Let's see. Where the Rams minus 3.5 at the Cardinals.
I think the Rams are going to not only win this, but win this by more points. I think they'll win this by 5. So I'm going to go the over with the Rams.
Okay. The Falcons plus 1.5 at the Seahawks.
I agree with that. I think that's fair. That's a fair line. If I have to, because it's a half point, if I have to go over or under, I would go over, just because winning by 1 point or 1.5 points is not likely in NFL games. So I would go with the Falcons, but I do believe, with the Seahawks, but I do believe Seahawks win by a couple points. So
The Packers plus 2.5 at the Bucks.
yeah, I would say that I'm picking the Packers in this game. So yeah, the 2.5 wouldn't matter. I don't think the Buccaneers win this.
Okay. The 49ers minus 1.5 at the Broncos.
I think the 49ers are going to smash the Broncos. I think they're going to win by at least 6 points. So I'm going to go 49ers by 6.
Okay. Cowboys minus 2.5 at the Giants.
Cowboys are favored, huh? Really, without Dak and all that? I don't think so. I think Giants win this by a field goal.
Oh, okay. All right. Very interesting. Very interesting. Let's see. Okay. Oh man, I got a list here for you. We're gonna do fantasy football recap and start 'em or sit 'em. So let's start with the recap. How did you do last week, and who were some of your disappointments, and who some that were played over their skis, so to speak, last week?
Well, I would start with Kirk Cousins being a disappointment. That was just, I don't know what it is about him, and the fact that whenever it gets to be prime time, he doesn't show up. I don't think it has anything to do with lights or anything like that, but whenever it's prime time, Kirk Cousins, it's lost time Kirk Cousins. So that was probably a disappointment. Matty Ice, that was an extreme disappointment. But who let's see, who are some of the winners?
Two has to be one for sure.
2 is definitely one for sure. I would say Marcus Mariota in fantasy was another one. Carson Wentz was a huge 2 weeks in a row now. It's put up huge amount of points. So yeah, I think those guys for sure. I'm sorry, who?
Fields.
Fields didn't do too well.
I mean, not Fields. Yeah, Fields. What was it? Fields?
Yeah, Fields didn't put up many points last week, I don't think.
Disappointment?
He was definitely a disappointment, especially after coming off a very good victory against the 49ers the week before. Yeah, let's see. He was He completed 63%, which is not too bad, but only had like 70. They didn't throw very often. That's what it was. They only threw like 14 times or something to that effect. It was like,
Well, it was in a monsoon, right?
I don't
Was
know.
what was it? Was it at the Chicago game? Chicago 49ers? They it was
No,
ran.
Chicago, Green Bay.
No, I'm talking about last week. Was it Chicago Green Bay?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, no, the week before was the rain game, but
The week
I
before was
mean,
the rain game
yeah.
for sure.
But I
Yeah.
mean, last year Aaron Rodgers told us that he owned the Bears. So I mean, was it? Was it, what did he do? Get a discount double check this year? I mean, but he had already told him that he owned them. I mean, so you know,
Yeah, it's just very interesting how they're using Fields. He's had 28 pass attempts, and I get it, the monsoon and that kind of thing that definitely plays a factor, but I mean, you got to give this guy more than 28 passing attempts in 2 games. Yeah, so 15 for 24, 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions on the season right now. So it's not been the best, but we'll see against Houston and how well he does.
Mac Jones.
Yeah, Mac Jones is horrible. Mac Jones is just one of those guys that is going to be very, very conservative. He's not going to score a lot of points. He's not going to drive the team down the field and put up 31 points for the team. It's very much a slow process for Mac Jones.
Jefferson, as I mentioned, six
That
targets,
was
48
disappointing.
yards.
Yeah, that was very disappointing for Justin Jefferson. I mean, I don't expect greatness every week, but when you're putting up those numbers, I don't expect that either. That seems to me even low for someone of the skill of Justin Jefferson.
Brandon Cooks.
How did Brandon Cooks do? I don't remember how. So he was the wide receiver. Wrong year. Let me go to the right year. 2019 was not the right year for Brandon Cooks. 2022 is the right year for Brandon Cooks. Yeah. Where did he finish? Let me do a quick check right here. For week 2, control find Cooks. He finished as a wide receiver 48. So I expect much better from Brandon Cooks. That was very disappointing.
Saquon.
Yeah, he also had a disappointing performance, especially after what looked like a week 1 looked like he was back. And it looked, like he was, going to put up near rookie numbers and just look fantastic. But he ended up as running back 17, 21 carries, 72 yards, just couldn't get it done. So that was disappointing.
CeeDee Lamb.
I don't know what's going on with CeeDee Lamb. He is so talented, but it just seems like he disappeared last year at the end of the year. He was up and down his rookie year, which you understand why, you'd be up and down as a rookie. That's fine. I'm not going to hold that against him. But he should be putting up better numbers in wide receiver 24, which is what he put up in week 2, which was a lot better than his performance in week 1.
Drake. The young kid was Drake. What's the young kid for Atlanta? Rookie Drake Lloyd.
Yeah, Drake London.
Drake London. I'm sorry. Yeah.
He's doing pretty well, actually. He was the wide receiver 12 last week, and then I think he's the wide receiver 12 overall. But he's wide receiver 16 overall. So far so good for Drake London.
Lazard. I believe he's back this week, right?
I believe so. I don't think he was there last week.
He was out last week,
Yeah.
but is he destined to become Aaron's wide receiver one?
I would think so, just because there's no one really else there, and he is more of a wide receiver 2 kind of guy. So when Green Bay only has wide receiver 3s and 4s, the wide receiver 2 is going to stand out. I like to see the rookie Christian Watson be that guy, but so far not so much.
Okay. I'm forgetting names again. Number one wide receiver for Jacksonville.
Christian Kirk.
Yeah, Christian Kirk.
He had another good week last week, but he's always been the type of player that's been just fantastic for 3 or 4 weeks and then disappears. And with the Jacksonville offense, I would expect that kind of situation to display itself sooner than later. And I don't know if he's the wide receiver 9 overall. I don't know if that's going to last.
Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah. I think he had a bad week last week as well for Christian McCaffrey.
Yes, he did.
And he's dealing with a little bit of an injury, but I think he'll respond back to his. Wow, he finishes a running back 11, but rushed for 135 yards, a touchdown, and caught 8 passes for 50 yards. How the hell did he end up as a running back? Jeez. I guess there was a lot of 3. Oh, I see now. There's a lot of 3 and 4 touchdowns weeks that week, so he got pushed down a little bit.
Yeah. Aaron Jones
had a great week last week after coming off of sort of a humbling week 1. So I don't know if he's going to rush for 181 yards again, but we'll see. We'll see if he can keep it close to 100, maybe 80, 85 yards and a score, catch 4 or 5 passes, that kind of thing.
Zeke.
Oh, Zeke is dead. Zeke right now is like the wide running back 50. It's really bad for Zeke. I think they'll have to make a change sooner. I mean, they're paying Zeke a lot of money, as we know, but I think they'll have to make a change soon enough. If this goes over another 3 or 4 weeks, they're going to have to make Pollard the number 1 running back.
James Robinson.
Yeah, I like James Robinson a lot. One of those guys, those underdogs, someone who wasn't drafted, that comes into the NFL, gets drafted by the Jaguars, and all of a sudden Leonard Fournette is cut, and everybody's like, what? How do you cut Leonard Fournette? And then we find out why. Because the rookie James Robinson is a better Leonard Fournette, and doesn't have the age to go with it. So he only rushed for like 65 yards, but he did score a touchdown. He scored a touchdown. And he always puts up points, always, some way, somehow, whether it's because he received receptions or because it's a touchdown or because he goes over 100 something yards. He's very consistent.
All right, well, let's get down to business here. Start him or sit him. Geno Smith versus the Falcons.
Ooh. Well, I don't. Geno Smith, you could start him if you don't have a better option. So I would say just on the level of starter sit him, I think Geno Smith will have a good game.
Well, we'll go by the premise that you have somebody else to start.
Okay.
We're not saying who it is, but we're saying like Geno Smith or the alternative. Versus the Falcons defense.
Okay. I would probably go with the alternative, going by what we drafted. Like, nobody really drafted Geno Smith, right?
Right.
So I would say bench Geno Smith.
Okay. Mariota versus the Seahawks.
Mariota's not a bad start. I think he could finish in the top 12.
Jimmy G versus the Broncos.
I would not start Jimmy G. I think he's more like a QB 15 this week.
Russell Wilson versus the 49ers.
What happened to Russell Wilson? Russell Wilson's not cooking. Someone buy this man some groceries because he ain't cooking anything. Right now, I say no until we see Russell Wilson appear. No. I'm gonna have to go no start.
Davis Mills versus the Bears.
No again. Poor Davis Mills. Yeah.
Justin Fields versus the Texans.
Yes. Start Justin Fields, even though I wouldn't put the expectation of Justin Fields as a gimme. I think he's going to underperform, but he'll still finish in the top 12.
Okay. Carson Wentz versus the Eagles.
Yes. Top 12 for Carson Wentz this week.
Jared Goff versus the Vikings.
No. Jared Goff, QB 15, 16.
Kirk Cousins versus the Lions.
Yes. Kirk Cousins should finish in the top 12.
That's what you told us last week about the.
I forget about prime time.
Matty Ice versus the Chiefs.
Hell no.
Derek Carr versus the Titans.
Yes. Top 12, easy.
Tom Brady versus the Packers.
No, do not start. That's hard to say too. It really is, but I don't. Yeah, nobody. He's not going to throw it to anybody. So I'm going to say no. Don't start Tom Brady.
Baker Mayfield versus the Saints.
No, do not start Baker Mayfield. No.
Okay. Jameis Winston versus the Panthers.
I'd like to, but I just don't trust his back, so I'm going to say no.
Tua versus the Bills.
I could. No, he won't finish in the top 12. It's so close, too. It's so close.
Look, you go to Waffle House this morning or what?
If I'll put it this way: if Jordan Poyer does not play and he's questionable right now, you can start Tua. If Jordan Poyer plays, do not start Tua.
Okay. Let's go some running backs here. Damian Price versus the Bears.
No.
David Montgomery versus the Texans.
Yes. You can start David Montgomery.
Okay. Chase Edmonds versus the Bills.
No. I don't even know what Chase Edmonds' role right now is. It's very strange. Until they build some kind of role for these running backs that they got, I'm going to have to say no.
Let's see. Where did I leave off here? Let's see. Damian Harris versus the Ratbirds.
No, they just don't score enough points.
Javonte Williams versus the 49ers.
I could see him getting in the end zone. I would say he's in the top 24 somewhere.
Jeff Wilson Jr. versus the Broncos.
Ooh, if it's really all his role, then yes. But last time it was not. So I'm going to go based on what was last time and say no.
Michael Carter versus the Ravens.
No, that role is still split up with him and Breece Hall. So I don't see him finishing in the top 24.
The Raiders versus the Titans.
So that'll probably be a split role between Zamir White and I can't remember who the passing catch. Not Burkhead. Can't remember who the pass catch back is, but it's going to be split up to think that either one of these guys will finish in the top 24. So I'm going to say no.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire against the Colts.
No, Colts are way too tough against the run. So I'm going to say CH falls just outside the top 24.
Derrick Henry against the Titans.
Well, it can't be the Titans.
I mean, against the Raiders. The Raiders.
The Raiders. Oh, talking about someone who's fallen off, Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
The Raiders haven't shown really much defense either, so I'm gonna say start Derrick Henry.
Okay. Derek Singletary against who the Bills against the Dolphins.
I'm gonna say no to Devin Singletary. I don't think he finishes in the top 24.
Okay. Let's see. We don't have to worry about Renfro because he's out with a concussion, I believe. I think it's Renfro that's out with a concussion.
I think you're right. I think you're right. Yeah.
Brandon Cooks versus the Bears.
I'm gonna go start Brandon Cooks. Yes.
Robert Woods against the Raiders.
Yeah, Robert Woods hasn't done anything. So I'm gonna say no.
Ayuk against the Browns. I mean, against the Broncos.
I think George Kittle is playing, so I'll say no to.
Yeah,
Brandon
Kettle is back. According to fantasy, Kettle is playing. He's suiting up. Christian Kirk against the Chargers.
Yeah, pressing his luck again. Just because he's so inconsistent, but I think this will be some kind of scoring game. So yeah, I'll go start Christian Kirk. He should finish inside the top 25 somewhere.
Williams against the Jags. Mike Williams.
Mike Williams should, yes, against the Jaguars, yes. Should finish in top 24, yes.
Let's see. Marquise Brown against the Rams.
Yeah. Well, they'll have Jalen Ramsey on him. I could still see him being in the top 24 somewhere. So I'll go yes.
Looking at what transpired so far through this season, is Jalen Ramsey still your number one corner? There's a guy that had 2 interceptions last week that looked pretty good.
Who was that?
Who was that had? He had 2 interceptions against. I want to say, was it the Raiders? Who did the Raiders play last week?
They played the Cardinals.
No, it wasn't the Cardinals. Oh man, I can't. And I should know. I should know corners and safeties. It wasn't the Ratbirds.
Let's see. I'm sort of looking it up. They had Darius Slay as the number one.
Darius Slay, yeah, Darius Slay. He had two interceptions against who'd they play?
The Eagles played. I don't remember.
They played the Vikings.
Okay.
They played the Vikings, and he picked Kirk Cousins off twice.
Damn. Yeah, they have him number one. PFF does number one Darius Slay. And they don't even have whatchamacallit. God, Jalen Ramsey. Let's see where they have Jalen Ramsey, because I know he didn't have a very good week 2. I mean week 1, and then he's not even listed on here in week 2 out of 50. So he's definitely leaking some oil for sure.
Tyler Lockett against the Falcons.
Yeah, that Falcons defense is horrible, so I'll say yes.
Did I say Cortland Sutton against
the
49ers?
I don't think so.
Cortland Sutton against the 49ers.
Yeah, I like Cortland Sutton. I think Cortland Sutton has a not a great week, because I don't know if he'll ever have great weeks, but he should have a good enough week to finish inside the top 24.
Drake London against the Seahawks.
Yeah, it seems like Drake London's their number one guy. At least that's who they're targeting. So I would say yes. Top 24 for sure for Drake London.
T. Higgins against the Jets.
Yeah, he had a bad week last week, so I see him bouncing back this week.
See, speaking of the guy that had a great week last week, Stephon Diggs against Miami.
Yes, he did. I don't think I could ever bet against Stephon Diggs, so I could see him even finishing in top 12 somewhere.
Let's see. Joe Mixon against the Jets.
Joe Mixon, Jets. Yes, he should finish in the top 24.
Miles Sanders against the Commanders.
That's going to be close. I'm going to err on the side of caution and say no.
Oh, so you don't like Miles against, huh? All right.
Yeah, I think he's someone that can finish inside the top 24. I think it would be close, but it's just too close to be sure. He's a RB14 on the season, so it's not like he's not achieving that mark. But I don't see it.
Curtis Samuel against the Eagles.
Yeah, Curtis Samuel. Ooh, I'm gonna have to say yes, because right now there's only two players who's had week 1 and week 2 performances inside the top 12, and Curtis Samuel is one of them. So absolutely, Curtis Samuel should continue to be inside the top 12, top 24 at least, I should say.
Okay. Let's see who else we got down here. Eckler against the Jaguars.
Eckler, he's been a little disappointing this year.
No kidding.
Yeah, he's burning a lot of bridges, being like top 4 player off the board, and he's just not been good at all. I'll say he'll finish inside the top 24, but I've been pretty disappointed. Right now, he's the RB 15. So he'll finish inside the top 24, but hopefully it'll be better than what he's been the first 2 weeks.
Bateman against the Jets.
Yeah, I like Bateman. I think Bateman is someone who should finish inside the top 24. He's getting better as every week as it goes on.
Let's see. Who else we got running around here that hasn't done too good? Let's see. St. Brown.
Yeah, I like St. Brown. I think he's good enough to finish inside the top 24. So yes, I would give him the start.
Would you start Kettle this week?
I'm going to say yes, but barely.
Josh Jacobs against Tennessee.
I think he's out.
Josh Jacobs. I know Renfro is out. They still
make the flight.
Oh yeah. I see. They upgraded him to ill. So it must not be an injury. He's updated to illness. I'm not sure what that means.
Yeah, I don't know, he's sick. I don't know if it's a fever or flu or what it is.
Let's get a couple more in here. I had Jefferson. Debo.
Debo's a good one. I'm gonna say yes. He hasn't been the Debo of last year, but
No,
I think
he's only averaging about 10 points a game right now.
Yeah. And I think he's wide receiver 22 on the season right now. A little bit more, 15 points per game, but still not good enough to where he was in the top 5 of last year. So I say he finishes in top 24, but it's especially now with I think they'll run him a little bit more with the quarterback. I'm drawing a blank. The 49ers quarterback.
Jimmy G.
Jimmy G, thank you. Yeah, with Jimmy G now in the fold, I think that he'll do a little bit more.
Thielen.
No, Thielen is falling off big time. I don't know. I think he's just too old now.
I think I mentioned. Let's see. Let's get a couple tight ends in here before Cordell Patterson.
Yeah. I think Cordell Patterson is definitely inside the top 24 somewhere.
Plus, they're against the Seahawks.
Yeah, which makes it easier.
At least to my way of thinking, anyway.
Yeah, me too.
Tyler Higbee.
I think that's a close call. But he is the tight end 8 at this point, so I'm gonna go yes.
Dawson Knox.
He might be injured. He might be out this week. So, but even if he wasn't out, let's just say he does play, I'm gonna say no. He has not been anywhere near what he was last year.
Yeah, that part is definitely true. See if we got a couple other tight ends hanging around out here. Everett.
Yeah, I like Everett a lot, and I think Everett's going to get a lot of play just because of Herbert's injury. So, yes, definitely top 12 for Everett.
Zach Ertz.
That's a close one. Yes, I'll go with Zach Ertz inside the top 12.
Kobe Parkinson.
Oh, the Seattle guy. No fan. Probably gets a little bit more targets. So I'll say no to Colby.
Goodard.
Yes, he should finish in the top 12 somewhere. Absolutely.
Logan Thomas.
He right now is a tight end 11. It's just been on the use. I'm going to say no. He's just too close to the tight end 12 mark.
All right. Well, hey, man, why don't you give us some stardoms or sit-ems, any that we missed, and any final remarks, man?
Sure. Well, I definitely think you could start CMC, almost any Chiefs against this Colts team. Just throw them all out there. I mean, this Colts team is horrendous, and I think they're going to be without.
I didn't even ask you. I didn't even ask you about Scanling or Smith Schuster.
Oh yeah. You just throw them all out there.
Just throw them all out there.
Yeah, you just throw them all out there. It don't matter. Yeah. Ask me or not. There you go. Play them all. Let's see. I would definitely sit Singletary against the Dolphins. I think we talked about that a little bit. Justin Jefferson is definitely a must start. I think he's going to come out strong. Dalvin Cook hopefully can change things around because he hasn't been playing all that great either. As far as the Patriots and Ravens, I'm almost saying to bench them all, even Lamar Jackson. I know you don't bench Lamar Jackson, but don't expect Lamar Jackson to be Lamar Jackson in this game. So expect a lot of that defense is really good. If he comes out and he dominates, then he's quarterback proof. But not until he can prove he's quarterback proof. Let's see. Garrett Wilson is a good start against Cincinnati. Jamar Chase, of course. Joe Mixon. And then let's see. Give you a couple more. Stay away from the Cowboys and Giants if you can. Stay away from Packers and Buccaneers if you can, outside of Aaron Jones and Leonard Fournette. And then the Falcons, do not start Kyle Pitts. Really, almost you could start almost anybody right now over Kyle Pitts until he can prove that he's getting more than just 1-2 receptions per game. Then he's been a really disappointment. Seattle, I would not start anybody. So, yeah, that's pretty much it, I think.
All right, my man. Well, hey, look forward to talking to you next week.
Yes, sir.
Seeing what's going on. And for those guys, I know you smoked me in week 1.
Yes, I did.
Put up 150 some points on me.
Ye-
But and then I had another bad loss last week. But
Oh,
I'm going to try to get a T-shirt that commemorates the winner of the SPORTSKRIB League.
oh, sweet. All right, on.
So yeah, we're definitely going to do that, and maybe if we can get a couple contests going on. I do have some Ohio State gear and some Raiders.
I'll take some Raiders
Stuff.
gear. I'll definitely take some Raiders, but Ohio State, you can have that.
No, and all of them are still kind of packed up. Either I won them over the years through some contest or whatever. But think about like maybe first, second, and third for the SPORTSKRIB League.
Sure.
We'll see what's going on there. So, any final thoughts you got this week, my man?
No, I just good luck to everybody out there. I hope everybody's doing well. I hope your fantasy teams are doing great, and good luck to everybody out there listening. Much appreciated.
So, what's your record so far? 75-25, or
I did pretty well week 1. Week 1, I almost won all of them. So, and then week 2, I went under 500. So I would say it's probably like at a say that it's pretty close, 75-25, somewhere around there. Well, week 1 that was like, but week 2 it was like 60-40.
All right. Well, hey, good luck to you, and hey, I hope this week I can start my winning ways. So you have a good week, man, and I'll see you next weekend.
Yes, sir. Have a great weekend and take care.
All right. Yeah. Hey, well, that's our fantasy football recap and stardom sit-em. Hope you have good luck this weekend in your fantasy football contest. Check back with us next Friday for And the Winners Are. Have a great weekend, everyone. See you next week.